Patrick Wilkes.
And why are you here today, Patrick?
Well, I'm former Chief Title Officer, Commercial Title Officer at Old Republic Title Company in San Francisco. And I became aware of corporate malfeasance within my company, and then after being an injured worker and being off work for a while, I had some time to look into the matter a bit, and I found that there were other companies that were doing the same sorts of things that I discovered in the company I was working for at the time.
And this offshoring, it's illegal under the insurance code, according to you, in California, for this work to be offshored. What effect did it have on injured workers or the workforce?
Well, the process of offshoring labor in California, which is against the California Insurance Code, as I said, has forced the remaining workers into a position of having to take up the slack for the substandard work that's done offshore. And normally here in California, they've been forced to work overtime without being compensated for it because they're told there is no money in the budget. The offshored labor resulted, of course, in layoffs here in California, so less workers to do more work means more hours, and if you don't get paid for your overtime, the amount of stress and distress that is placed on you is incredible.
Now, have you brought this to the attention of the insurance commissioner and California authorities?
I have. In the past, I've notified the California Department of Industrial Relations, the former Attorney General's office, the former Insurance Commissioner's office, and on each occasion, because I was merely an individual in a shop that was non-union, they wouldn't hear what I had to say. So I'm here today to speak up publicly because as an individual, I had no voice before any of these agencies that are supposed to redress grievances.
Now, what has this meant to the homeowner, and does this have any relationship with the home foreclosure crisis?
Well, first of all, the employees, the thousands of employees that have been laid off in the title and escrow industry as a result of these financial manipulations by out-of-state insurance holding companies. When you're out of work and you can't get another job in your field, you're forced into a position of having to make do with nothing in many cases, or take jobs that aren't adequate to service your existing debt. So their houses are getting foreclosed. They're having to move into rentals or living in their cars at this point.
And what about this transfer of property improperly by the title industry? Does that have anything to do with outsourcing?
Well, the errors and omissions that are created by these outsourced title documents, whether they're reports or commitments or final policies, has resulted in a marked increase in title claims. If you look at the Insurance Commissioner's website, you can trace it out, because in 2004, when the tax laws became made offshore and very favorable to corporations, the beginning of the offshoring in earnest by many corporations resulted in these defective products or substandard products being delivered as if they were the same as a title policy, for example, generated here in California. Here in California, to issue title insurance, there are strict practices of searching and examination that are intended to be followed. The people who work here are aware of the properties, they understand the laws here, they know what everything looks like. When you're halfway around the world and you're trying to create a policy, a title policy, using simply records, but you don't have the context or know what you're looking at, you're going to make mistakes. You're not even going to know you've made a mistake. And at one time, I suppose, people here in California were checking these documents, but by and large, they just pass straight through to the consumer without anybody here even taking a look at them.
So you're saying this is consumer fraud. It ends up in consumer fraud. Basically, because of this transfer, this outsourcing, people commit fraud. They don't even know they're committing fraud.
Well, considering that in California, in order to engage in the business of title insurance, which means issuing these policies and the reports that precede them, yes, it's a fraud, because the consumer is led to believe that this has been done legally in California, when in fact it is not.
And who benefits from this?
Who benefits from this are the large insurance holding companies that own these California title insurance companies and escrow companies. The main three, Fidelity, First American, and Old Republic, well, they've almost created a monopoly here in California. There is a fourth company, Stewart Title, which I don't know anything about their operations, that between the big four, they've bought up almost all independent title companies here in California, and by offshoring, have driven other ones out of business by cutting their prices to allow, because of these offshore operations.
So in other words, they've used offshoring to destroy their competition.
Sure. And not only destroy their competition, but lower their labor costs here among their own employees. And the atmosphere, the reason that I'm speaking up publicly is that not a single employee with any company has been willing to speak up on these matters, save for a group of workers over at First American in 2008. And they were able to settle a small class action lawsuit for $11 million. But that only benefited some 200 people at the company. And you're talking about a company with thousands of employees. You're looking at the tip of the iceberg. Now, all those monies that should have been paid in wages should have resulted in corresponding federal and state taxes, which of course would help our budget and bottom line. Having wages in the hands of California workers will increase our sales tax revenues because they're going to buy stuff. National Financial and First American Financial, along with Old Republic International, have engaged in various predatory and illegal practices here in California with respect to employees, with respect to regulations that should be being enforced by the Insurance Commission. And what I've found is that in making attempts to report corporate fraud to the Department of Insurance, and I haven't even attempted to report what's been happening with the workers' comp end of this because, well, I've carried around inside me the pain of having seen other employees abused by these corporations. I have developed coronary problems, chronic insomnia, and when I tried to go out on workers' comp in July of 2009, my claim was denied by the workers' comp carrier, and I found that I have no real recourse other than to sue them. I don't have an AME hearing until July of this year, 2011, 2 years later. That means that after my state disability ran out last July, I've had no income. The insurance company that's supposed to be taking care of my long-term disability through this corporation hasn't paid me my money that I'm supposed to be getting for that. And it's my personal belief that because I spoke up within the company about abuses of wage and hour laws, abuses of offshoring title company responsibilities to third world countries, contrary to the insurance code, that I'm being victimized and retaliated against. And yet, when I try to find out who can I go to help me with this, there is nobody. I can't, when you talk about investigating fraud in your commission here, and I respect what you do, of course, you're thinking of some guy who's scamming the system and collecting workers' comp in 3 different counties, or somebody who really can't work, or really can work, but they're pretending that they can't, and all these sorts of things. Visions come to mind of workers defrauding the system. But you skirt around the issue of what the insurance companies themselves do. These are multi-million-dollar holding companies that don't even invest in California, yet are taking money from our state, from our workers. Well, can I continue?
Finish.
You can finish your point.
Okay. Well, my point is that I'm looking for someone to work with on these issues, and I'm looking at two groups of people, the Insurance Commissioner's Office and you guys here, who can help me in this particular situation. So after this meeting is done, I'd like to... This is addressed to, Greg Klein on behalf, since Commissioner Jones is not here. Delaware corporations such as Fidelity National Financial, First American Financial, and Old Republic International have cornered a huge chunk of the California title insurance institutions such as Fidelity National Financial, First American Financial, and Old Republic International have cornered a huge chunk of the California title insurance and escrow markets over the past decade. Following strikingly similar business models, the boards of these three companies have engaged in a number of unfair and illegal business practices via their California subsidiaries. Among them are ongoing violations of the California Insurance Code, which former Commissioner Boiser's office elected to ignore after my repeated notifications. Categories: doing business violations, illegal offshoring, wage and hour, and correspondingly civil rights violations, and then conspiracy to violate these laws, RICO. Since January 2007, thousands of California title and escrow people have been laid off, many with unpaid overtime wages still outstanding. Illegal offshoring of title insurance functions has become rampant, to the detriment of California real estate professionals, consumers, and displaced workers. That is why I'm speaking up now to request your help. I call upon you to enforce the statutes that permit only domestic underwritten title companies in California to perform title insurance functions, and to order investigative audits of the title and escrow operations of underwritten and wholly owned subsidiaries of large insurance companies operating in California, looking for wage and hour and other violations of state law. Please see the enclosed supporting documentation. I look forward to hearing from your office in the near future and am available to discuss these matters with your investigative team. Respectfully, Patrick Williams.